Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us from wherever you're watching this from. My name is John Romano. I'm the coordinator of the TAP Network, Transparency, Accountability, and Participation Network. I'm happy to have our colleagues with us for this latest segment of the TAP Network Conversation series. This is a series of conversations that we will have with current TAP Network partners to really showcase the diverse membership and the great work that some of our colleagues are doing at the national level, and in this case, at the regional level as well. So I'm joined here by my colleagues, Jyotsna Mohan Singh from the Asia Development Alliance, and also our colleagues from NGO Federation Nepal. We have Arjun Bhattarai and Bhandari. So before we get started, before we talk about any of the issues that we want to touch on today, maybe if we can, if each of you might be able to just introduce yourselves very briefly and describe the work that ADA and NFN do. So maybe we'll start. Maybe Jyotsna, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much for having me for this conversation. It's very important, very timely, and ADA is a regional network of CSOs having membership in 24 countries in Asia, different parts of Asia, South, Southeast, Northeast, and Far East Asia, and Central Asia. About 24 countries and about 31 national CSO coalitions are the members of ADA. So we have like outreach of more than 10,000 CSOs across Asia. Actually, it's more than, quite more than 10,000. And we have been working on the issues of transparency, governance, and especially issues pertaining to the shrinking civic space for CSOs in Asia. And we were established in 2013. And since then, we have been working with the CSOs, and and especially with the SDG 16 and 16 plus as our focus for the past few years. Thank you again.
Great, thanks, Jyotsna. Yeah, obviously, Asia Development Alliance is one of our strong regional partners. Jyotsna, I think, is being a bit modest, do a lot of great work in Asia, coordinating civil society engagement in the region. So thanks a lot, Jyotsna. Maybe we'll go to Arjun.
Thank you, John, and thank you very much for organizing this great event or conversation this morning. And I like to actually thank to TAP Network because you are regularly engaging SDG 16 and 16 plus. I'm Arjun Bhattarai. I represent NGO Federation of Nepal. NGO Federation is a national umbrella and national platform of Nepalese NGOs, where more than 6,500 NGOs members across the country. We have we cover 77 districts and 7 provincial offices, and also NGO Federation is the confederation of different thematic federations like Dalit or disabled federations, and the coordinating for SDG agenda in Nepal, because we form Nepal SDG Forum, which is the multi-stakeholder platform now in engaging in the different SDG agenda in Nepal. In not only the national Nepal, we are working in the regional and international level somehow. So also we are the NGO Federation is the focal institution for SDG 16 and SDG 16 plus. So we are doing a lot of activity regarding this to achieve the 2030 agenda. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot, Arjun. And over to you,
Thank you, John, for organizing this kind of conversation. I'm Bhandari. I'm the executive director of NGO Federation of Nepal, and I manage the initiatives of NGO Federation towards SDGs. Thank you.
Great. And NGO Federation Nepal, obviously, as Arjun and had mentioned, a national platform of civil society. I think one of the most organized and active national CSO platforms around the SDGs and SDG 16, and obviously very active. And we'll unpack some of the work that you've done in Nepal in just a second. So obviously, because we have this regional platform, Asia Development Alliance and NGO Federation Nepal, a national CSO platform, I was wondering, just for our audience, just to give them a better idea as to what the connections are, how you mobilize, as NFN at the national level, and how you work, Jyotsna, at the regional level. If you can maybe explain a little bit about the relationship between ADA, the regional coordination that you do, and the work that NFN does at the national level. So maybe Jyotsna, maybe you can give us a little bit of a breakdown of what that collaboration looks like, just in case other colleagues within other regions might see this as a great example to replicate.
So as I said that, we have our members all across Asia, and they are the National CSO Coalition. So NFN, for sure, it's a very established and credible uh, 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 NGO platform in Nepal, which has a great membership, and they work in a very, very, you know, uh, planned way. They have a membership base, from the from the top up approach. They are very, very actually planned. They're working with a great planning, and they have a very good outreach with the stakeholders, different stakeholders. They work with not only with the CSOs, fellow CSOs, but they also work with the government and other stakeholders. So they are, incredible, in their work, the kind of work that they're doing. And similarly for ADA, it's very important for ADA to have a membership base which has a great outreach to various stakeholders, and make sure that they have the membership all across the civil society, because as you know, civil society is diverse. So they have a diverse group of people who are their members. So that's how, ADA has great dependency when it comes to NFN on, when especially in the membership issues or any capacity building issues or the outreach or advocacy issues. We have worked on various side events, various capacity building training. Actually, we have been organizing our gala training, which is a training on SDGs, linking SDGs, human rights, and democracy. And when we did for SDGs gala for South Asia, we went to NFN because we know that the kind of outreach, and they are not only known only in Nepal, but they are quite known in various parts of Asia as well, and they have a good outreach. So obviously we would go for NFN. So we did our gala together, and then we have been organizing our various side events together during Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, which is a regional platform, regional forum. Apart from that, we have been organizing side events with the them even at the global level during high level political forum. We have been working with their actually member state of Nepal as well, because of NFN, because of the good outreach that they have. And they help us inviting those people who have been working on SDGs, especially on the localizing SDGs. So this kind of is a very good example, because we want to take also good practices, what's happening, because civil society has a lot of sad stories to narrate. But when it comes to NFN, they have their own struggle, but at the same time they have been very successful, in contacting and in reaching various stakeholders. And it's very important. We also feel that when you're working on SDGs, you have to work with the government, and you have to work with various line departments, and that they are working doing very successfully. So that's how it looks like at the regional level when we work with the NFN. And and when it comes to giving example, especially on localizing SDGs, or having parliamentarian at different levels in the implementation of SDGs, or so NFN definitely comes first to us. So that's the reason we have been also working with NFN to also share good practices example in our region. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Jyotsna. And I think it's a great point that when we work on the SDGs at the global or regional level, it's really important to get the local context right in many countries and in many states or provinces or cities, towns, and NFN has a significant amount of experience in that, mobilizing civil society and communities within Nepal. So from your perspective, Arjun and Hum, what are the benefits that you get for engaging with ADA as a regional platform? What are the things that you benefit from the most by engaging in a regional platform?
Thank you, John. Actually, as Jyotsna already highlighted some issues, but however, so we are doing country level or national level or local level initiative, but sometimes we need regional regional knowledge on engaging in the local level. So it is a very good platform, ADA, that sharing knowledge and STG. Actually, what Jyotsna is always sharing bulletin or messages, and which is very useful for us. And the second, the capacity building, it's a very important. Actually, the gala training, we organize many like other training, but the gala is incentive, very comprehensive package for the STG, which the ADA is leading. So this is very important. So because we already organize a couple of gala, and our members, they understand the STG, and it will be very easy to localize the STG, because knowledge is very important. And the third thing, we are engaging lobby and advocacy activity in different level. So sometimes we need a regional perspectives on that, like volunteer national review or volunteer local review. So we are jointly doing many activities together, and ADA will convert in the regional level, and it will be also the global level. So ADA now very strong regional platform on ST 16 and 16 plus. There is other many alliance like GCAP and other, but they are focus on ST 16 and 16 plus. So, and as NFN is a focal institution for ST 16s, and also the government also the recognized NFN is a focal agency for STG, all STG, but however the ST 16 is our own motto, because it is related with the peace, human rights, democracy, and other related activity, which is NFN doing since 3 decades. So it is a kind of umbrella of umbrella. Is ADA is our confederation for NFN. So it's a very important. So this is my quick reflection. Maybe whom will add something more.
Thank you. I actually don't have a lot of things to say, because most of the things are already said. I just like to highlight that ADA is really helping us to breeze the national processes and international processes, and through this, we have been able to showcase our initiatives and results at the international level, and ADA has been really doing well in creating international platforms in which different organizations and networks can come together. They can share and learn from each other, and it's really good in this sense. And with support from ADA, we have been document and build knowledge and share with each other, and it's also really helpful. Another thing that's already mentioned is capacity building, and through different activities. One of them is local advocacy program, which we call Gala, and I'm proud to say that I am the first Gala alumni, and I took part in 2013, and it's just going on. So it's really great that we are associated with ADA, and we have got support from this.
Great, yeah, and that was actually going to be one of my next questions, was about, you mentioned that ADA and platforms like ADA can help to provide a bridge from the national and local level to the global level. And I think that's one of the things that we often struggle with the most at the global level, and one of the criticisms of the high-level political forum on sustainable development, which meets in July of every year, I think is that it oftentimes seems very, how do I put this delicately and diplomatically? I think it seems a little bit out of touch with the realities on the ground, the things that are happening in countries and in communities. And I think that's, it's a really difficult thing to do. How do we make sure that we're bringing the experiences, the knowledge, everything, the capacity the priorities of colleagues in country, especially from civil society, and make it provide a platform for these colleagues to be heard. So I wanted to ask a question based on that specifically. I think one of the shortcomings of the HLPF is also that it's a platform for member states, for countries to report on progress. And there's no formal entry point or no platform for civil society to also report on progress in their country as well. But NFN, I know that you have a lot of experience in spotlight reporting on SDGs, and particularly on SDG 16 plus. So I want to unpack that a little bit more with you on your experiences with spotlight reporting. So if you could, Arjun or Hum, give us a little bit of a background on that process. So what was the process from the beginning, to when you decided to put together a spotlight report, basically through, when you brought it to the HLPF? What were some of the challenges that you encountered, and maybe just give us a little bit of a background on how you went about putting together that spotlight report.
I'll start a little bit, and then will a bit more. And we have like this Nepal SDG forum, which we founded in 2016. And actually, it is not only the NFN; it is the collective effort of Nepali civil society, and only the NFN is the secretary. So I think it will be a bit easy for us, because when we started the process, we have their secretariat, we invited to all like a civil society or also expert, not only civil society, and sometimes we invite to the government people, because they have a knowledge sometimes. So first of all, we started engaging meeting, different level of meetings, and to decide how can we bring collective information on spotlight report. Actually, we want to include the local knowledge and local issues, because sometimes they are missing in the local issues. So we last time, I think I'll share a couple of experience of 2020 spotlight report. We formed the one committee. It's an expert committee of 13 members, and then there are different level of expert, and then also we invited to different civil society colleagues. Those are engaging the different issues, like some engaging the youth, some engaging the youth, women, some engaging the disabled sector. So we gave responsibility to each of them, and almost more than 20 civil society organizations, they bought information on their respective sectors or thematic areas. Oh, so one hands we form our one committee, expert committee, and second also we make a platform for different organizations or different civil society. Those are engaging the different issues. So they work together, and then we organized like regional meetings, like provincial meetings in 7 provinces, and also we organize in the districts meetings, and the issue will bring from the bottom up, and we convert it in the national level, because we the expert will need to write the reports. Then also we engage with the government consultant and the government people. So not only the civil society. 2020 is an interesting thing. Also, we invited the private sector. We work together with the Federation of Nepalese Chamber of Commerce, and so also we work together with the Federation of Nepali Cooperative. So, but our strength is we work jointly with the different platforms. So this is our modality, and we we develop one summary or one draft report, and we share with the local levels, and local level they discuss, and also it's back to back, top to bottom and bottom to up. So it is a very interesting mechanism we already prepared in 2017, and more better we did in 2020. So I think we'll highlight more anymore.
Yeah, so mostly the process and how we did has been covered, and I would just like to highlight a few challenges, and which John also wanted to know. Actually, when we try to develop the spotlight reports, or national civil society reports that we have often called. Okay, when we try to work together many organizations, and that's one opportunity, but at the same time coordinating different types of organizations which have their own priorities, it's also sometimes challenging, and we are the secretariat of National Nepal SDGs Forum, but how to keep moving and how to build the capacity of the national secretariat, and then how to include everyone's issues, because every organization, every person, when they are working in a particular issue, they think that, okay, this is the most important agenda, and then they have their own stories, and they have very strong attachment with the agenda that they have. And sometimes it's really challenging how to prioritize and how to include everyone's concerns and issues in a report, which cannot be too long, right? Likewise, it's also challenging to include, to collect the data or information that can be really, valid, and that can make the report, uh, so a bit, based on facts, data, or a local level situation. So when we try to do this, there's quite limited data, government data. At the same time, at the local level, there is quite limited awareness and information among the people and even the local governments, when the people themselves or the agencies or the stakeholders themselves are not adequately, not well aware about the issue. So collecting information is also challenging. And likewise, recently when we have pandemics and coronavirus pandemic, I mean, we are not able to move and go to the local levels, local governments, and then build the capacity and collect information. So on the one hand, so we are joined virtually by so many people around the country. This is one good thing, but at the same time many are excluded also at this, so uh, these are some of the things, and producing the good quality reports, and how to document all the processes that are going on at the local level, district level. So NGO Federation is mobilized from the local to the national and international level, and how to collect all the information and data, and how to document everything, and how to reflect that in the national report that we produce is also really challenging.
Great. Yeah, and there's obviously a lot more that we can unpack with your experience. One thing that we will also do as the TAP network, we as a network focus a lot on spotlight reporting. One resource that we will launch in about a month or so around the HLPF is the SDG 16 Plus Civil Society Toolkit, which will include a specific chapter on spotlight reporting, really concrete guidance on how colleagues can put together a spotlight report in their own country and context. And the Nepal example is one of the examples that we've learned from the most. As you mentioned, you engaged with the government from the beginning of the process, which what we've learned from experiences in spotlight reporting also then makes the government a little bit more receptive to the final report in the end. So if you approach it from a collaborative perspective, the government sees it as an opportunity for collaboration and discussion, rather than something that's more adversarial or something that's going to be more critical of the government. So they often see it in a much more positive light. So there's a lot more to unpack with spotlight reporting, but I want to go to Jyotsna and ask you a little bit about, we've heard about a great example in Nepal, especially where the government has been fairly receptive, and there's a really robust space for civil society. But in Asia, there are many countries and contexts where that just is not the case, and in many countries around the world where civil society doesn't have this kind of space and are restricted and in many ways, persecuted and jailed, kidnapped, killed in many cases, and it makes this work nearly impossible. So my question to you, Jyotsna, is how, from Ada's perspective, in other countries where civic space isn't as robust, how do you approach spotlight reporting around the SDGs or SDG 16 plus? How do you ensure that these governments are being held accountable to these commitments, despite those challenges in some of those countries?
Thank you again, John. Great question. Yeah, it's very complex because, as I said, that in general, it's not easy to work with the government, and so there are very few countries actually. As I said, that Nepal is one of those very rare examples where we have a very good case where the civil society and the government they work together right from the beginning. But sadly, it's not happening many parts of Asia, and what we have seen that especially in the South and Southeast Asian countries, situation is very bad, which continue shrinking civic space, and there have been a lot of arrests, lots of killing of human rights activists in past few years, even despite implementation of SDGs in last 5 years. So what we have seen that especially in countries like Laos, PDR, Myanmar, and Cambodia, Vietnam, where there are independent civil society, they're working, but still we need some good case studies, and we want them to represent in various regional forum. We have sadly seen that uh, even they don't want to be shown, they don't want people to see their faces, because they don't want to be recognized when they are speaking in such forum. So there are various complexities, when it comes to representing or even sharing their studies. So what has happened that we usually arrange for somebody else from some other country to speak on their behalf. There was time that somebody else spoke on behalf of Lao PDR CSO. Similarly, I spoke sometimes back on behalf of Timor-Leste. Then, we have been raising the voices, especially from Myanmar. As you know, Myanmar coup happened this February, and this is a really sad thing because we all we were all expecting democracy. I just, just it's a coincidence. Just morning, I woke up and I heard that my daughter online classes, and teacher was asking her, "Do you know what is democracy?" So this was something that it's being taught in the schools here, because we are taught what is democracy, and when we see that it is declining in some other region, so this is a very sad thing. And what we did in, especially, so what we do, we try to engage with other stakeholders, especially the role of UN is very important. And so what we usually we get in touch with the UNSCAP and UNDP, and we also ask them, for example, in Lao PDR, we knew that the CSOs were not writing this spotlight report. They were not, they're not even engaged. But just to show, they would organize, they would invite some INGOs who are not actually collecting the ground level data. So we got in touch with the USCAP and the UNDP, and we made sure when we asked them, could you please show their VNR report to us? And they were nice. I mean, it was a surprise, but they showed us. It happened some 3 years ago in Bangkok, and they showed us, Jyotsna, this is how it looks like. And I said, we do not see any input from the CSOs. And they said, okay, so can you put us in touch with the CSOs? So we were like, yeah, we know. And then we got them in touch with some of the CSOs in our PDR, and they were able to, put their inputs. Similarly, for Cambodia, we went to UNDP actually, and UNDP and SCAP, and how UNDP is working. So, and Cambodia also, the civil society, they have also good relation with the UNDP. So again, through the UNDP, they are working and they are trying to get engaged. Similarly, in Pakistan also, they are sharing. So the UN bodies also sometimes they play a very important role, getting their voices heard. So these are some of those points that I would say. And again, also in India actually. In 2017, when India was presenting the VNR for the first time, the CSOs were snubbed even at the HLPF. There was no question. There was they just ignored the CSO round of stakeholder questioning. But in 2020 last year, India presented for the second time, and this time they made sure to include the voices of CSOs. In fact, they agreed to recognize some 15 or 14 constituencies which were not being recognized by the government earlier. So that was also kind of the lobbying and advocacy that we do at the not only ADA but then even with our national network, that the kind of lobbying that we did, that India was not even given a chance to speak, and their voices were included. So there are some issues for Myanmar. As I was saying, we have been raising the voices of Myanmar civil society, and when I was reading the civil society statement in APFSD, so I made sure that the first paragraph itself showed the Myanmar coup, and just after me, the government of Myanmar was supposed to speak, although they did not say anything, but then there was a huge gathering of all the member states. So I think these are some of the very, at least we get to raise their concerns at the regional forum. And that's how, at least, and then we try to make sure that the UN body, UNDP, or, SCAP, they play some important role, and they have indeed played some very crucial roles in connecting them with the member state and getting their voices heard in the spotlight reports. Not very easy, but yeah, it happens. For example, also in Indonesia, we see that the Indonesian civil society, they don't write the independent shadow report, but they work with the government, no matter even if their input has come in one paragraph, but then they make sure. And Indonesia is presenting VNR for the third time this year. So, but gradually we see the improvement, that first year there was like very little input, but then second or third year they have been engaging more. Similarly in the Northeast Asia or the Central Asia, or say, so also when they look at the other region of Asia, they try to get engaged even in the name of it, but they engage with some of the members, civil society, and they make sure that there is some representation. So things are improving, obviously, and I would say, especially in the spotlight report. But John, when it comes to actually practically saying, it's as you rightly said, that it just happened very occasionally in the just before the HLPF or just before the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development. But usually for most part of the years, sadly, these things are not um, regularly practiced. So we really need to make sure that how to make it more regular. We just have 9 more years to go, complete 2030 agenda. But when it comes to ground level, regular contacting and working and implementation with the CSOs, it's still kind of dream to us.
Great, thanks a lot, Jyotsna. And I think that's another great example, a great pitch for the role that a regional platform like ADA can play. You mentioned bridging those connections between some of the UN and multilateral institutions and the local and national civil society that are actually doing this work on the ground. I think again, another reason why we need platforms like ADA and other regional platforms like yours. I think one thing that one challenge that we've all experienced over the past year and a half or so is related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we've talked a lot about the value of coordination and collaboration and partnership and bringing civil society colleagues together towards joint work and joint objectives. But obviously that work is made a lot more difficult, given the COVID-19 pandemic and that the whole context of social distancing and government lockdowns. It's a lot more difficult for us to do this virtually. So I'm curious from your experience with NFN in Nepal, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your work as NFN? How has it also then affected your work with the government? Has that also been a little bit strained as well, since you may not be able to meet with colleagues as frequently, or in greater numbers like you're used to doing. So if you can just give us a brief breakdown of, you know, what are some of the challenges that you've faced, and maybe how you've worked to overcome some of those over the past year.
Okay, it's a very good question, because you know we are facing a lot of challenge. Of course, is not only the Nepal, but of course globally. However, you know what the challenging for us now. There, you know, you know, we have to manage a lot of local level activity in a community level, or municipality level, or rural municipality level, or provincial level. So actually we unable to you know move, and mobility completely stop due to this COVID-19, and then a lot of our project activity stop, and then you know we working from the home, but you know sometimes it's not that much effective, and the virtual this virtual technology also not accessible to in the remote part of Nepal, because you know also the language issue and other many, and technology, internet facilities, there are other issues. And you know the NFN is a umbrella of different organization, and very small grassroots community organization also we have, and then more than 10,000 volunteers working daily in the community levels, because it's not the small network. So the problem is, you know, to mobilize those volunteers, our members, and it's a big challenge for us. But what we did, you know, we turned our all activity when, like, you know, we converted our activity to response the COVID. Like, you know, in initial phase, we worked together with the National Human Rights Commission, Federation of Nepali Journalists, and Nepal Bar Association. We start to monitor to human rights situation in the community level, in the district level, our regional levels, and our provincial levels. Then we support, and we like, you know, also even we give, like, you know, food or materials, or like, you know, and we support the hospital, and we support to the quarantine centers. So our members, and also together with the NF, and also we engage to the government policy level. We discuss with the minister, or even the, you know, prime minister office, and we request to the farm, you know, good policy towards the people's people-centric policy. And in the second floor now, what we are doing, you know, we are working together with the social welfare councils and association of international NGOs, and NFN is leading to you know, this rapid response task force. So we formed already a rapid response task force in the 77 districts, 7 province, and the local levels. And what that the task force do, like, you know, actually they facilitate the local initiatives, and also they are providing report to us. And this report is we request to the government, and you know it is, you know, a bridging camp the local and national level. So we have a lot of challenge, and we also the request to government to you know, to convert our project to the COVID response, because there are many other different types of project. But however, this time the government agreed at least 20% of their budget can convert in the COVID project, or COVID supporting, like health equipment and other things. So this is how we are doing, but still the challenge things, like, you know, funding issues. And the funding crisis we are facing, the civil society, actually the national platform like NFN is very hard to get the resources, because we are like only, you know, lobby advocacy, and you know different kinds of nature, like as ADA or TAP network facing. So similar nature of project we're doing, or activity doing. So these are a couple of things like, you know, facing, and but we are, you know, we are changing our strategy when the, you know, COVID also changing their strategy. So similar approach we are doing. So thank you. Maybe will say something.
Yeah, just to add a few things, you know, as a national civil society platform, there is a lot of expectation from NGO Federation actually. And we have a lot of work and mandate from the local level to the national level. And I feel that COVID-19 has really limited our role in some areas. And, you know, on the one hand, there are some of the good things, like, you know, we organize so many meetings these days, because it is virtually and it's possible. And when there are meetings, we connect the CSO leaders from the national to the local level, wherever they are, right? And everyone has opportunity to learn, and, you know, to build their capacity, and get updated to the national and international, you know, relevant information. That's one good thing. However, there are a lot of gaps. So not everyone has that kind of access. So when we are organize virtual meetings, it's virtual, and then, and it's really difficult to, get to produce some results and to assess the effectiveness. And we deliver some kind of message, and there is limited interaction, and we really don't know how, to what extent the message has been delivered, and if we ask for some kind of information or data, so I feel that it's different. If we really physically go to the districts and local level and organize meetings and have, some kind of, socialization with them, so this produces a different kind of result. So and some kind of digital divide has limited our access and reach to the local level and to the districts, and mobilizing our networks at the local is really challenging. And at the same time, NGO Federation represents in many government mechanisms. And because of the pandemic, so because all the government governance, issue is really overshadowed, and who makes decision, and whether there is some kind of participation or not, and whether or not NGO representatives are there. So we are, I feel that, something is missing there, and accountability, participation, uh, and input of the CSO leaders to the government, and this has not been that effective. Likewise, I feel that we were not really prepared for this kind of situation, and some kind of, we have a lack of digital infrastructure, and this is an opportunity, but we are not prepared actually for this, to engage everyone, to bring everyone together, and so that no one is left behind. And so uh, our advocacy, our work is going on, but I doubt whether everyone is included.
Great, thanks. And I mean, Jyotsna, I think both of us are in a somewhat similar position where, we have regional and global networks where a lot of our work is virtual and digital, even before the pandemic. But I do think that still we face some challenges. I think to Hum's point, I don't think we were quite prepared or ready for it either, despite the fact that most of our work is virtual. But yeah, Jyotsna, same question. What kinds of impacts has the pandemic had on your collaboration across your network? What are some of the challenges, and how have you worked to kind of overcome some of those challenges?
You are muted, Jyotsna. Okay.
Thank you. Um, yes, we have been facing a lot of challenge, but then first I would also like to talk about some opportunities that this pandemic gave us. Obviously, how you are very right that we were not prepared. Not even the governments were prepared. Nobody was prepared for this huge disaster when the pandemic was announced last year, when it was declared pandemic. I remember we were waiting for the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development that is happening every March, and we were just working like every year. We were selecting the CSOs, and we were just discussing. We have heard there is some sort of pandemic that has happened. There's some coronavirus thing is happening, and there's some, maybe there could be some restrictions on travel. So is the UN prepared for that? And they said, okay, we will let you know after 24th of February. I still remember the conversation we were having with the UNS cap. And on 24th February, we were told that, it is before, just 3-4 days before, WHO had declared this as a pandemic, and the whole scenario changed. So that was the first APFSD that was we were waiting for, that would happen. But that was first, they cancelled it. They said that they cannot do it. And so what they did, that there were some 6 thematic discussions organized by the ISCAP, where there was a very good participation. Actually, in fact, more than the government, there were more participation from the CSOs in those 6 thematic discussions. and they were but later what we saw that things started changing, and later they decided to organize this APFSD, which is happening every year for 6 days. They did it for 6 hours, and these 6 hours we really struggled because there were definitely discussion on the on the issues. The member states, obviously, they were coming first, and then they were giving chances to the CSOs to speak. But they would just announce one time, and if that CSO for some reason, because of the technical thing, it was the first time, and they had a new app was very difficult for everyone to access it, and because of that many people just could not access it, so they would not even wait for the second announcement. They would just immediately call a member state to speak. So ultimately, and then I was since I was in the panel, so I there was one more CSO person from Bhutan and myself who were able to speak, who managed to speak in the main panel. Otherwise, all the CSO, they actually spoke post the closing ceremony of the APFS, which was a sad thing. And then we asked, are you going to include their voices? And obviously their voices were not included, their statements were not included in the formal, because they said that the APFS day was formally closed. So that was the first time we were like, wow, they did not even include us. So we had to actually change the whole statement. I mean, we made a statement, because usually for last 3 years I've been presenting the CSO statement on behalf of Asia Pacific CSOs. But then we had to, I and some of my colleagues, we sat online and we changed the statement, something we, and we made these issues of technical glitches, in the name of technical glitches, how the voice of civil society is being muted, and that we experienced for the first time last year. And then many other forums happened, sub-regional forums happened. Then ADA, we organize our capacity building session. But again, I would say that usually in the our capacity building sessions, which is physical, it needs more resource to bring more people. But then we were able to bring more people in less resource, and especially there we were able to, the people from far, not only from Pacific but from South America, from other region, they also applying for a gala training, and because they all also wanted to be part of that. So that was the one of the opportunities that we took. But when it comes to CSOs, I think we have been able to do some of the great work, and especially our CSO report, which we produced last 2 years. We got good, did a good, training, capacity building. We had a proper format for CSOs. Our members, they were able to give the inputs. But when it came to the formal, forums like regional forum or the global forum, it was difficult. It was different. Similarly in HLPF, but by the time HLPF 2020 happened, we were more engaged, and we knew that they could say anytime that you could not reach. There's been a lot of issues of online glitches, online, that people could not reach. So they could not be connected on the online platform. So this is something I quite agree with home here, that despite our efforts to bring in more people, bring in more voices in the online forum, and despite all those reminders that we say, but then ultimately it's very frustrating when we say that end of the time, I mean, just by the time they have to speak, they could not join it for some or other reason. So this is because we are not prepared for the online platform. We were never used to it, and especially CSOs, we were never used to such online thing. So this is a major thing. And then also we have seen how the governments are attacking the CSOs. There have been many amendments to the online what you publish online, especially in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, some even Nepal, the women, they marched on the road. Then we have also seen in Indonesia, Myanmar, there have been many new amendments to the existing law. If you speak anything, even for the COVID, you are your account is hacked, your account is cancelled. So this kind of things are definitely happening, and we are trying to find out the strategy. How do we address this issue? Because if you cannot say anything about even the pandemic in some of the countries, and the people are being arrested, so how do we address this issue? This is still a challenge for us. because when they make amendments in the laws, then it gets all the more difficult for us to voice up our concerns. But again, as I said, that what we do, we speak, we do not name them, we just we collect the case study and we collect their story. For example, in our the spotlight report, our SDG 16 plus report that we launched this year during APFSD, we just included the voices of Myanmar, but we did not mention the name. We just got the case study, but we did not. So sometimes we do that, but it has posed more of a more problem to us, especially in the pandemic, because you have to be like really careful, what kind of what kind of message is being conveyed, and then you are being watched all the time. So that is kind of the, I won't say fear, but there is a sense that you are being watched, what you're saying. So, but yeah, as I said, that as you all said, that we are not prepared, still we are adjusting to this new online era during
Great.
and post.
And I think one of the points that you made about the fact that this is, it is a challenge, but it also could be seen as an opportunity. I think we need to take some of the positive elements of the working virtually and being able to bring more people into this discussion. I think it's a great point that, quite frankly, it's not just governments that need to be, working on this and learning as we go here, but I mean, we as civil society and networks like ours are just constantly going to have to adjust and keep learning. But I think so just to kind of wrap things up, I mean, one thing that we have coming up soon is the 2021 HLPF. And at this year's HLPF, SDG 16 will be reviewed for the second time. Last time it was reviewed was in 2019, 2 years ago. So I'm curious from each of you, if you can be as brief as possible, maybe turn it into something like a tweet, 240 characters or less. If you can tell us, coming to the HLPF, what's your message to governments and the HLPF and the UN system about what needs to happen to advance and implement SDG 16 plus in this decade of action? From your own perspective, what are the priority messages that you will bring to the HLPF? Again, fairly short, like a tweet, if possible. Who wants to go first? I know that's a challenging thing to be so concise, but
Maybe John.
Go ahead, Jyotsna.
So, as I said, that I would be going for the citizens-led data, because we have been collecting a lot of data, and then they say there's a dearth of data, but there's no dearth of data. You have to trust the data that is collected by civil society, and that data is quite valid. Even at the micro level, the data is very valid. So you have to trust us, and please trust the citizens-led data while you are writing your VNR report or any other report. Yeah.
STG, it is like being a slogan, but what we think as a national activist, like, it is not only the slogan, it should be the implement in the communities. Otherwise, we cannot achieve in 2030.
I would say that it's really necessary to focus on the recovery from COVID-19 for SDGs.
Great, and I mean, just to be fair, it was a difficult ask, so I'll also give my own message. Hum kind of stole mine a little bit too. I was going to say, I think we need to see the COVID-19 response and recovery and building more resilient societies going forward. We need to view all of that, and government needs to do all of that through an SDG 16 plus lens. So they need to ensure that anything that they do is people-centered. It's responsive to the needs of people that the SDGs were really meant to impact and benefit. Maybe a little bit more than a tweet there, but And anyway, so thanks again so much to all of you for joining us for this conversation. We'll link in the description below links to all of your work, your websites. There's much more to unpack from ADA and NFN. A lot of great work that both of your networks are doing on the ground, and a lot that we can learn from. So with that, we'll end here, but very much looking forward to continuing to work with both of your networks and to learning from all of you. And for those of you that are watching this that aren't already TAP members or TAP partners, we'll also provide a link in the description below. It's very easy to join. We would love to have more of you to join this growing network of partners working to advance SDG 16+. So thanks again to all of you, and we'll definitely be in touch as we always are. So thanks again. Talk soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.